What's going on, guys? My name is Triforce Addiction. Welcome back to another COD mobile video. So today I wanted to discuss, or I guess give my final thoughts on year 3 with Call of Duty Mobile, since a lot has happened. So first off, it's kind of crazy how far we have made it into this channel alongside just Call of Duty Mobile as it continues to grow every single year. And it's kind of just amazing. Like, I never really thought I'd get into the game this fucking much, but even now, like, you know, like 2.5 years later of playing this game, I'm still like really going strong. The game's still fun. And yeah, I guess it's like one of the benefits of having a game that constantly gets updated, because, you know, when you think about like a different Call of Duty game, like especially on console, they usually last 1 year before they stop getting updates. I mean, of course, there are times where, like, you know, it's post-launch, like a year after, they'll get some bug fixes here and there. I know Cold War got a lot of different updates, like after Vanguard came out, because obviously a lot of people did not like Vanguard. But yeah, with COD Mobile, like, this game is just ever growing. I mean, even in season 1, there are so many changes. We're getting 50 more levels. We're getting that Modern Warfare 2 ADS movement. It's crazy. But I would say, like, every year has always had some sort of theme. I mean, you know, in year 2, we ended up getting like zombies mode. We ended up getting like more adjustments to gunsmith. And, you know, we got some better weapon balancing, especially when it comes to the sniper overhaul that happened because they were just way too overpowered. But I would say that in year 3, I could say that the devs were focusing heavily on weapon balance. Like, this was like the weapon balance year for this game. I would go as far as to say that every season we always had a lot of major changes to guns that definitely needed to be updated. And this kind of stopped the trend of, you know, only having one gun that's completely dominant against all. It is something that needed to happen for a very long time, and it kind of sucks that they took this long to figure it out. But yeah, for a long time, whenever a new weapon came out, or, you know, whenever there was a meta, people usually only flocked to that one weapon because there was nothing else that could compete against it. We had meta weapons like the Kilo, the M13, the MX9. That one was terrible. We also had the Bison meta. I mean, dude, it was absolutely horrible back in the day. But, you know, like, over time, you know, as these updates happen in year 3, we ended up getting a lot of different updates for different weapons that absolutely needed to be changed, like the KN-44, Man of War, DRH, and so on. It got to the point where now every weapon stood a chance, and really the meta was up in the air. It could be anything. And there always seems to be a weapon that could counter a meta weapon. Like, let's say, for example, the Switchblade. When it was still meta, you could use the QQ9 against it and still do all right. Especially when it came to like the Kilo and the M13. I know they were kind of like rival weapons in some ways. You know, you could use one or the other, it would be fine. I mean, there are other weapons that counter those. I mean, even now with the SVD, it has a counter of its own, which is the XPR or the M21. Mainly the XPR, since it's a lot better. Shotguns even got an overhaul. They added more damage to certain pellets. Also, slug rounds were increased massively for certain weapons, like the specifically the Bi 15. I know a lot of people like using the slug Bi 15. As for like spread shotguns like the JAK 12 and the R9, I mean, they're very good in their own right. Recently, I think in this update, we ended up getting the Echo slug rounds as well as the Striker slug rounds a lot more love, you know, giving them the ability to two-shot from any range, at least when it comes to the Echo. As it goes for the assault rifle specifically, and I mean, like, specifically when the M16, I think that's the one that probably changed the most, I would say. The KN-44 got a lot of updates too, making it more stronger with headshot damages, as well as, you know, faster speeds, better recoil control. I know the LK-24 got some changes, but it wasn't really that major. It was already, like, good as it was. But I would say that the M16 out of all the weapons probably changed the most, and probably for the better. The recoil got nerfed. They made it more stable. They gave it a full auto perk, as well as giving it its first ever legendary, which I thought was never going to happen, but it ended up happening after all. The LMGs also got a substantial overhaul, at least when it comes to speed. They're a lot faster, they have more range, they're more deadlier up close, especially if you have like the Hades or the Chopper. If you shoot in the head, oh my god, dude. They're absolutely crazy now, and yeah, they're kind of where they need to be. I would say of all the LMGs that changed substantially, I would say that probably the Hades as well as probably the Holger and the UL 736 were the ones that changed the most specifically. You could say that the RPD changed, but for the most part, I just needed really like one, and they added like a signature attachment. That's pretty much all they did. But the Holger and the Hades, they've been getting buffed over time, and you know, they've been a lot more lethal now. As for the sniper rifles, I mean, let's be honest, most of them didn't really change that much. I mean, they probably nerfed the SVD range, and that's pretty much all they did. As far as the XPR goes, that's probably the one that got the most substantial changes. As for the Locust and all the other bolt action snipers, they've more or less stayed the same, with the exception of maybe the Outlaw. But I do have to say, I mean, at least the complaint that I have is with the fast switch issue. Like, I know that's a bug and they haven't fixed that yet, but they're just keeping it around because a lot of people like it. For me personally, I don't really think it's fair because, you know, you're supposed to bolt after every time you shoot, but the perk, you know, amped and quick swap or whatever the fuck it's called, allow you to not bolt at all. So you can basically kind of like turn your sniper into a semi-auto. I don't really think that should happen. I think that's a little bit too overpowered, but I guess if it's a way to compensate for, you know, like the lack of ADS speed. I mean, again, like the ADS speed's still pretty fast for the sniper rifles. They do not flinch, even if you have like scavenger and like all ADS attachments, they don't flinch for shit. Like, even despite the huge nerf that the snipers got like over a year ago, I would still say they're very, very dominant anyways. I mean, no matter how good you are, you're bound to get killed by a quickscoper or a camping sniper. There's not really much that you could do against it, even if they don't have any anti-flinch attachments. But if I were to make any suggestions, just increase the flinch a little bit more because, again, like if they're running full ADS attachments with like, let's say Vulture or whatever green perk that's not toughness, they're still not flinching when I'm shooting them, so they could still easily kill me without any sort of consequences. Like, I don't mind them having the ADS speed or, you know, the fast switch, but if there are people aiming down sights and you're shooting them consistently and they're not bouncing for shit or budging, like, that's the only problem I have. I mean, you could keep the fast switch, but just increase the flinch a little bit more. But overall, other than that, snipers are okay. I don't really have too much of a problem with it, even though they're easy as fuck to use. But when it comes to like the marksman rifles, I would say that's probably the least changed category, and probably for good reason. Obviously, the marksmans were pretty good as they were. The only one that really needed to be changed, I'm glad that they did this season, was the Kilo bolt action. So that one, like when the sniper nerf happened, I believe that the Kilo bolt action was probably the most affected, and it was way slower. It became way slower than like most snipers. I would say that it was slower than LMGs with heavy attachments. It was that crazy. So they kind of had to improve the ADS speed, improve the reload time and all that stuff. And they did that with the Striker as well. They improved the reload time, I think the range a little bit, but overall they did what they needed to do with those weapons. As far as it goes for the SMGs, they made a lot of changes here and there. I would say probably the most changed SMG would probably be the GKS by far, because now it has crazy 3-shot potential up to like over like 20 meters, which is kind of unfair for an SMG. I mean, the Razorback also, I would say, got changed substantially, at least when it comes to its speed. But I kind of wish that they worked on the reload speed, because like whenever you reload cancel, even though like the animation shows that you put the mag into the new gun, sometimes it just doesn't register, so you have to reload again, and it's kind of frustrating. That's really the only SMG that I want changed. I could say the Shecom needs to be changed, but it's already happening for Season 1. I know some of you guys could easily argue that the Fennec also got changed massively, as well as the QQ9, but think about it this way. With the QQ9, they're kind of always flip-flopping. Sometimes they make it weaker, sometimes they make it stronger, sometimes they just make it like a whatever gun. Like, they're kind of like all over the place when it came to the QQ9. Like, in all reality, it didn't really change that much. Overall, most of the SMGs are alright, but I do have complaints about 2 of them specifically. One of them is the Bison, and the other one is the MSMC. So the Bison was unnecessarily buffed multiple times. And I say that because the Bison is probably one of the most noob-friendliest weapon, if not the most noob-friendliest weapon in the game. And they keep giving it more and more and more 3-shot potential when it doesn't need the 3-shot potential. As it goes for the MSMC, they did make one adjustment, but actually they made it a lot weaker. I would say the most neglected SMG right now is the MSMC by far. There's no argument about that. I don't know what their deal is with not changing it. I mean, they have Battle Pass skins for it. You'd think they buff it for at least that, but they don't. It has way too much horizontal and vertical recoil. It has legitimately no range at all. They never extended the magazine capacity given its fire rate. They just never did anything with the MSMC that was substantial, at least. I don't know what their deal is, but yeah, they kind of had to get on the ball with that one. They need to do something about it because it's like no one, I have not seen a single person use that weapon in like over a year. I mean, not even the bots use them, and they're allowed to use the fucking MSMC. I mean, even the bots know the gun sucks. So now talking about the secondaries, they didn't change too much. Well, actually, most of them didn't really change for shit. You know, even the shorty got some changes here and there, but it's still a very shitty shotgun pistol. The 50GS never really got changed massively. The J358 did, but never really too much. I think like the only big change was like its vertical recoil, but it already didn't have any recoil at all. So I don't know why they did that, but they did it anyways. The crossbow also got changed at some point. Again, no one really cares. I don't see a lot of people using it. But yeah, secondaries, they're all right for the most part. They never really got changed so massively that I need to talk about it. So yeah, overall, a lot of weapons got buffed, and I would say some of them are back to their meta state. But it's, you know, it's good that they did now because obviously they're weapons that could actually compete against them. And I've said that many times before when the Fennec got buffed, when the Holger got buffed. I mean, like having changes like that before would have been stupid, but you know, given that everything is viable now, like it's not like it's going to be like you're going to be invincible with that gun. There's always something to counter it. So now we move on to probably one of the biggest issues with year 3, which was the bot situation. So overall, the bots have been overhauled, I think like twice. One was giving them epic skins and giving them different character skins as well. But the issue is how they perform now. And like, I'm not expecting them to just not aim at you or shoot at you at all. But at the same time, I don't want them to fucking, you know, aim through walls and fucking like track you the moment you're even like spawning in. It's bullshit. I know everyone that either plays public matches or ranked can agree with me. I could really think that maybe the only issue where the bots aren't a problem is probably like just all these extra different modes in multiplayer, like, you know, the feature playlists, or maybe in Battle Royale. But when it comes to just basic multiplayer like Hardpoint, TDM, there's like massive issues, and it's starting to become extremely serious. They have overall more damage, they have more speed than you. You know, like they could one-shot you with like a 5-shot weapon. It's absolute bullshit. I would say that they're like at their most deadliest when you're either in shipment, high rise, or satellite. That's when they are at their worst. And look, I get it. Like, you want to make it a little bit challenging for players that may not have found other players to go against. But when you're making it so that bots could look at you through the walls, dude, like the player is not going to know that until they turn the corner. And for the most part, like the head detection is also weird. Like they headshot you when they're shooting you on the fucking arm or the foot. It doesn't make sense at all. I think the best method to fixing these bots is to just reduce its detection range. Keep the aimbot, keep that if you want, but like the moment they spawn in, they should not know where you are at all. Like, I don't know if they're sensitive to sound or anything like that, but like if you go to satellite or high rise, it is absolutely noticeable. You'll notice right away that they're looking at you through everything. In fact, most of the deaths that you get from bots are from them looking at you through a wall. The majority of the time that you die from these bots, it's typically out of your control. It's not something that you could easily tell someone to just get better. Like anyone, no matter how skilled you are, you're eventually going to die to a bot looking at you through a wall or, you know, aimbotting you on the fucking head when they shot you in the hand. There are even times where I've almost lost games against real players mixed with bots, but the ones that were causing me the most issue were actually the bots and not the actual players. It's starting to get to the point where Luminosity, Tribe Gaming, as well as, what's the other one? New York City Subliners are going to have to start recruiting bots in order to win the game because they're better than real players for the most part. It's going to get to the point where like there's no real players in the championships. It's just going to be pure bots. Like Plastic Foods is going to be like part of Tribe defeating fucking, I don't know, Magro Melito or whatever the fuck these bots' name are. I have noticed a few patterns though with them. Sometimes if they're tracking you through a wall, like let's say you have an advanced UAV, you could kind of see like the arrow just kind of moving alongside you. If that happens, just stop and they'll just stop detecting you. Like I noticed that whenever you stop moving, they'll just go somewhere else. It's kind of weird, but yeah. And sometimes if you're partied up with someone, the bots will specifically target one person more than the other. Like it's weird. Like, you know, when I'm playing with my friend Parker, like there are times where like the bots completely just target him and I never get like killed by any bots. So now let's talk about the financial situation with this game. So overall, I know like they didn't improve on this like until like the second half of year 3, but they have been kind of generous when it comes to like draws and crates and everything like that. They added coupons. The tournament mode was a pretty good idea because they give you like golden, bronze, and as well as silver coupons for you to use on crates. But my main complaint with that, at least when it comes to those coupons, is that they're very selective on which crates that you can get. And for the most part, they only allow you to get crates that have already been around for over a year now. There's not a lot of opportunities for you to use those golden tickets on like the newer crates that are presented within that new season. All I'm asking is to at least just have it available for like every crate. I mean, that's like, it makes the coupons pointless if we can't even use it on those newer ones. Like, people don't want to use them on the older crates that have been around for like 3 years. But anyways, when it comes to like the 1-cent coupons, they're pretty cool for the most part. I mean, I think you could use it like on anything. I don't think it really matters between like mythics or just other legendary draws or even character draws. You really only save like 29 cents, but sometimes, yeah, like there'll be like those very rare exceptions where you actually get the weapon on like the very like first crate. But I mean, it's very like it's very slim. But as it goes for the draws, you know, they constantly add discounts. I mean, even for the mythic, I think for the Craig 6, they added like a 10% discount. I think that's what it was, or I think it was 11%. I don't know which, but I know it was over 10%. They're making draws a little bit cheaper. Sometimes they have like discounts on like just draws that just came out. Also, they've been very generous when it comes to having like all these double draws. I mean, this season we had the holiday skins as well as the Secret Santa and the PKM. But obviously you could count this as kind of like an exception, mainly because they just want you to get that calling card, you know, just to make it easier for you. But over time, I mean, they've had draws like the UL 736, the AS Val with the MK2 Carbine. They've had like a lot of draws that feature 2 legendary skins and making them a lot cheaper. And that's mainly because they introduced like these legendary prestige skins, which are like more fancier versions of legendary skins that already exist in this game. It's a decently good business model. I mean, better than what we had before. And I say that because, you know, it's buy 3, get 1 off. And, you know, with like these double trouble draws, it does help a little bit since they're a little cheaper. And sometimes there's discounted draws, which kind of help the situation even more. So they give you like more than enough time to get that draw. I mean, all you really need is 3, like in a span of like 2 seasons. And yeah, like I said, it's very easy to achieve. But of course, that's if you have like a lot of money to burn. But in reality, most players that I go against typically have like at least 1 legendary skin. I mean, it's very common to find someone with a mythic or a legendary. It shows that a lot of people are actually dedicated to this game in some way. They also introduced a lot of legendary crates as well as legendary bundles. The crates typically have like this thing where you could unlock timers for a certain legendary weapon. I think the first one that I noticed was probably the CR56 AMAX Feral Tusk. They have like little things on the crates where you could have it for like a few days, maybe for a few weeks. Sometimes like some people like spend like $24 and got like a whole month access to that one specific skin. And there are actually others that got the weapon permanently. In terms of legendary bundles, they do have a few. I think they had one for the MSMC as well as the Outlaw recently, and even for the Chopper, but those are like very old skins. They typically don't have bundles for, you know, something that may be like a year old or less. The For You section pretty much provides people a second chance on getting a legendary skin on something they may have missed or just didn't have the money to get at the time. Okay, so now I want to talk about my 2 biggest issues with what they did within this, within this like 12 days of deals event. And this is the one that kind of like affected me the most and kind of annoyed the fuck out of me. So the first one is obviously with that coupon that you got for completing a draw. So in case you guys don't know what that was, basically you could get like a coupon that gives you like 20 to 30% off a certain draw. The thing is that they didn't tell you exactly what you could use it on. I mean, they don't allow you to use it on legendary character skins or even mythic skins. And the conditions like that, I was okay with. I mean, if I could just use it on a regular draw, I mean, I was fine with that. But they didn't tell you that you couldn't use it on already discounted draws. So I tried to use it on the Bison, which was, I believe, already 10% off. I was hoping I could increase it to 40% off or just have it at 30, you know, just have it change a little bit for it to work. But it does not allow you to use it on already discounted draws, which kind of annoyed me because now I wasn't going to be able to use the coupon at all. I mean, keep in mind, these coupons are around for a limited time. Like, even if you attain it, it's not going to stay there forever. So you have to use it within a certain time frame. So as a ditch effort, since I couldn't use it on the Bison draw that happened this season, and I was already running out of time, I had to like just get a quick for you draw completed, which was, I believe, the Man of War strafing run. So it kind of forced me to use a little bit more money on this game, which I was not a fan of because I already had to do a lot because, I had to get the Mythic Calling card. So it kind of changed my plans around. So it kind of, it really annoyed me. I mean, like, I wasn't just going to waste the coupon and just not use it on anything. I had to use it on something. The problem with this whole thing is that they weren't really specific on what you can and can't use it on. And that's kind of the annoying part of it. But now I know I can't use it on discounted draws or, mythic or legendary character draws. So I could just use it on standard legendary draws that are not discounted or anything like that. It doesn't matter if it's like non-reactive or reactive. You can use it on those like 2 specific ones. But when it comes to like the second issue that I had was probably with the Mythic card bundle. And I know a lot of people agree with me on this one. The way that they had you get it was fucking stupid. I didn't buy it personally, but the way that they handled it was fucking retarded. So what they did with it is that the Mythic upgrade points, or I guess the Mythic cards, were going to have a 52% off discount. I assume that was for that little crate system that they typically have when you get those Mythic cards. But they were actually going to sell it in a bundle. So I was just like, okay, cool. I mean, I could just use my COD points to buy it. But I already bought the COD points like when I was already getting the Mythic skin. So I just assumed that I could just use my COD points to buy the bundle. But no, they decided to make you actually pay $60, 60 US dollars in order to get the bundle rather than just have it converted to COD points. From what I remember, they sold it for $59.99 US dollars. But they could have just changed it to 6,000 COD points and it would have been a lot easier for everyone. Because again, everyone was caught off guard by this. But again, they could have just switched it to COD points so we could just buy it like that. And the thing is that my plan was to get it, but like, given that I always upgrade to like level 3 on every mythic, which is like halfway, basically the halfway point that requires, I think, like 725 mythic cards. It was giving you like 1,500, by the way. I could have used that on 2 future mythic weapons. But I lost the opportunity because I was just like, nah, fuck that. I wasn't going to buy that fucking bundle because I already spent the money on the COD points. They should just let you spend 6,000 COD points. It would have been a lot easier. It's kind of like if you go to Best Buy and they have like a crazy discount on a MacBook, making it like $500 off, but they don't tell you that you have to use a different form of currency other than US dollars to get it. So like they make you like spend in pesos instead of like, US dollars. It's stupid shit like that could have been easily avoided. So throughout this entire 12 days of deals event that happened, they needed to be more specific on how they were going to sell certain items and like just so you could just prepare for it. And look, don't get me wrong, I'm grateful for them being a lot more generous. I mean, even having that double COD point event was a gift from God. But again, you guys need to be more specific on how you're selling certain things, especially when there's a deal event. But those were my real complaints when it came to like how generous they were becoming. Like, again, not being really specific is a big issue. In retrospect, year 3 was all right. I mean, like, it was probably one of the better things where I had like the least amount of complaints in terms of weapon balance, because again, they worked on a lot of weapons. A lot more weapons are viable. It's pretty much the most open meta we'll ever have in this game. And it might get better within year 4, but I kind of predict that year 4 might be more of a features oriented year. They did very, very well with the weapon balancing. I'm happy that they got on the ball with that. As for like the bots, dude, you guys need to tone that shit down. They're becoming way too strong. And as for the generosity when it comes to, or I guess the added generosity when it comes to, selling draws and, all the store stuff. Like, I don't mind that you have all these nice deals, but if you're going to sell it, just be more specific. Because it was kind of like a mess the way they handled it. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to leave a like, make sure to subscribe for some more COD Mobile content. I'll see you guys next time.